Slayer.
What's up guys, my name is Mr. Random, and I'm here bringing you some Team Snipers gameplay on Boardwalk. Before I go into what I'm going to be talking about today, I initially want to go over the gameplay because there are some things to be learned from it. In the gameplay you'll notice that the enemy team in the middle of the match starts to teabag me, and that is something that you should never do, as you will see soon. Now today I wanted to talk about Halo 4 Forge and the things that they'll be adding to the game, and some things that I thought of that would be cool for them to add into the next Forge. Now if you guys haven't already seen the video, which you probably have, I'll just quickly go over the new things that they added to the game that were released in RTX. The first one was copy and paste, which is basically allows an object that you select to be copied, and then you can just paste it wherever you want to on the map. There's also boundaries that allow you to alter traits. So let's say you create this boundary that makes it so your gravity is decreased to 50%. Now outside of that boundary, your gravity will maintain normal within the game type, but within that boundary your gravity would be reset to 50%. That's a pretty cool idea. Another idea that they implemented into the Halo 4 Forge was locking objects, which is also very, very smart of an idea because, as you guys may have known, if you guys have ever made a map, there might have been times when you accidentally selected and pulled something really quickly and it just messed up the whole map, added a little bit of extra time, more delay into finishing the creation. It was really frustrating. The fourth thing that they added was object highlight selecting, and this is amazing because I know a billion times where I've been looking at a bunch of objects, let's say like spawn points on top of a platform, trying to pick up the spawn point, and instead I pick up the platform and carry it 5 feet, which completely destroys the orientation of it. The final thing that they added was magnetic placement, and basically what this does is it allows you to attach things in a more normal fashion and allows things to be connected easier. Now those are the things that they presented in the RTX event, but there's some other things that I thought of recently, just thinking of some random ideas that they could implement that would make Forge just a really cool thing to have fun with. The first thing I thought of was modifier boxes, and you may initially be thinking that sounds a lot like trait boundaries, but I had this idea before when I was playing Reach, where I had to set up multiple different spawns and they all had to be different team colors because I was making like a gradient of colors or like a rainbow. And I thought, wow, how would it be if you just created this box or this boundary that you could set that altered the traits of anything that was inside of it. So you could basically you create this boundary and then you set it over, let's say, spawn points, and then you select the spawn points within the boundary in the options of this boundary, and then you select that you want all of those spawn points to be the red team spawn points. So that would be a cool idea. Another idea that I thought that wouldn't be too hard to implement would be animation of objects using keyframes and interpolation. So if you've ever edited a video or you've done anything in like 3D Studio Max or After Effects or Cinema 4D, you know about keyframes and interpolation. But basically, a keyframe is just a set of saved data at a frame that saves data of an object, and then you combine two keyframes that have two different sets of data, and then interpolation examines those two data points and then gradually calculates the movement that would be required to go from that one keyframe to the next keyframe. And that would be a really interesting idea, a really easy way to put animation into Halo Reach. So for instance, if you wanted objects to be moving back and forth really quickly, you can loop an animation that would send them across the map and back or such like that. Another idea I thought of would be forces. So forces, I've seen this in 3D Studio Max. They basically, the ones that I can think off the top of my head are gravity, drag, and friction. And they're basically, you can create a zone that had different physics implementations of forces than the rest of the map. So gravity is already one of the things that are affecting the trait boundaries, but one of the things you could do was, if you wanted to create a flying map that had a different, like harder regions in it, you could create a box that had more drag, so it would be tougher for flying vehicles to get through it. Or if you wanted an area for like a race, but you wanted a certain section of it to be harder to trespass, you could make it more, you could have more friction in that area and such like that. Another thing that I've noticed recently, you'll also see it in one of the next Bad Map Mondays. I think it'd be really cool for objects to have a condition on it. Not as in like in the mid game you're playing and then your gun wears out as you use it, but more of there's a set kind of conditions that an object can represent, like objects that can take damage, like vehicles. So let's say you have a Warthog and you place it on the ground, but you want the game type to feel like desolation or something, so you set the Warthog, you want the Warthog to be damaged. But currently in Reach there's no way to really do that unless you shred it with a kill ball or something like that. So with this you can set the condition to be damaged or like broken at the start of the game instead of having to destroy it before the players reach that spot.
Tie the leader.
Now those are kind of some of the simple and safe changes that would be not too hard to set up for Halo 4, but I think there's some other radical changes that they could do. They're not as easy to implement and they might not be as safe, but they might be interesting if they're implemented correctly. So the first one I thought of was scripting, and this is a little bit ambiguous, but scripting would basically be a more advanced version of some of the things that I was talking about before, as well as setting other things. So you could use scripting to apply traits to vehicles, so you could apply more speed to vehicles, or you could make them less gravity and such like that, or you could apply methods that do certain things like animations. That would be a more advanced way of doing animations. Another one that I thought of was terrain editing, and this one is kind of cool. I've seen it used in the editing tools for Bethesda games. So basically what this is you have a brush that your Forge character can use, and this brush will affect like a circular area, and with that circular area you can either decide to raise the terrain or lower the terrain. So with this you can create underwater areas. Like let's say you had the original Halo Reach Forge map, you could just raise the entire terrain of the water above, so you have like a no water area. It's entire just regular ground. The final thing I thought of was multiple themes, and this would be like a really big overhaul for Forge, and I highly doubt that they would do this, but it kind of seems like in Halo Reach Forge, if you wanted to create a type of immersive game type, the only way you could really do that is with special effects. All the object textures and the environments would stay the same. So I think a cool thing that they could do would be to add textures, like different kinds of textures for something you're trying to convey, and different environments. Like there could be boundaries that create a fog zone within that boundary, or something of that sort, or like rain or snow or something like that. And this pretty much relates to the special effects, so it wouldn't be too off-kilter, but you know. So these are basically all the things that I had thought of. If you guys have any Forge ideas that you think are pretty cool, you can comment them in this video, and I will pick the best ones that I saw, and I will share them in the next video. And if you guys liked the video, please like it. If you guys didn't like the video, you don't have to like it. You can dislike it. That's fine with me. Just please post some like constructive criticism so I can make my commentaries better. That would be much appreciated. If you guys were confused about anything that I was talking about in this commentary, any ideas that you wanted me to convey using illustrations or some more detailed explanation, feel free to comment that, and I will get to that as soon as I can. And if you guys like the content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching the video.